Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I have been gone for a minute, but I am back. And so we are, as of the recording of this video, entering towards the end of the summer. We are about to get into August this week. So just wanted to come by and give a quick update on what's happening in the DFW area. So as we are kind of trending towards the later half of the summer. Typically spring, summer is our busy buying season, right? And as we get into the fall, things start to cool off a little bit, right? Everybody's attention starts to turn more to back to school, holidays, kind of wrapping up the year. We've got an election coming, so a lot of things happening. And so for that reason, generally speaking, the fall tends to be a little bit slower. So what I wanted to do is just kind of give you a quick kind of snapshot of what's happening in the DFW area, specifically Collin and Denton County. So if you're interested in Frisco, Prosper, Salina, McKinney, those areas, so North Dallas, this will apply to you. So let me go ahead and go and show you a little bit about what's happening and just give a little bit of commentary, because it's been a very what I will call a very unique market. And so with that, as we look at this is our snapshot, I can speak. This is our snapshot for June for Denton County. And so again, that's going to include Prosper kind of straddles both Denton and Collin County, but that's going to be Little Elm, Aubrey, Louisville, those cities. Denton, of course, is another major one. So for June, we'll notice here that the median price dropped a little bit for Denton to $469,000. This is compared to a year ago, this same time a year ago. The next thing is market share. Market share just basically means of the DFW Metroplex that Metrotex covers, which is the MLS basically for North Dallas. How much of Denton County does the county of Denton cover within the Metroplex, if that makes sense? So basically our little piece of the pie is about 25%. And most of those homes are falling between 300 to 399. Active listings shot up 31%. We've got closed sales are down 13%. Average days on the market here is 71 days. So 37 days on the market is how long it's been taking for a property to get an accepted offer. And then you figure escrow period is about another 30, in this case, 34 days. Months inventory is 3.4%. So just to make a little bit of sense of the data here, the biggest thing that I would say to take a look at here, if you'll notice, is the median home price. I know a lot of people are talking about home prices are still high, they're still high. I will tell you here in DFW, again, it's still within DFW because it's huge, right? But there's still a number of areas where we are seeing prices go down, not up. And so Denton County, I'm going to go into Collin County in a minute as well, but Denton County is down. And so you're looking at that number, you're probably thinking, well, that's not a lot. But I will tell you, because properties in general are sitting on the market longer, if you're a buyer, you have much more opportunity, much more room to negotiate. And that's negotiating the price, negotiating terms. Again, because a lot of properties, I know this is the average, but I am seeing properties who have been sitting on the market for 60 days, 100 days, 120 days, and they're beautiful properties. It's not like they're got odd floor plans or in bad areas or anything like. No, these are beautiful properties. But I think what's happening is it's a combination of things, right? We're in this perfect storm of high interest rates. We're still seeing unemployment numbers come through. And that's what I think why the Fed is now saying, oh, maybe we're going to do interest rate cuts a little bit sooner, because that data is not looking good. And then we're also seeing an environment that's become increasingly volatile when it comes to the election coming up. There's just a lot in the air. And anytime you have a lot of uncertainty like that, people are not going to make big purchases. And so with that, the overall demand in a number of these areas, it has gone down tremendously. There's just not the buyer demand that there once was. So if you're a buyer and you are in a position where you're like, I feel pretty stable, I'm ready to go ahead and purchase a house, you are going to have much more opportunity to be able to negotiate. Like I said, sellers are much more willing to talk about price reductions and things like that. And I'm noticing a lot of the properties that are currently listed for sale, they have gone through a number of price reductions already. I have a listing right now. We've done 4 price reductions already, and it's been on the market about 100 days. And when we priced it well. It wasn't like we overpriced it, but it's a very much an entry level property. It's listed at 155 right now. This is a 2-bedroom condo. But I say that to say, normally that would have been snapped up, and it's not. It's sitting on the market. So, and I have a colleague, she has 5 listings right now in DFW area. All of them are sitting on the market. We're not even getting showings. So it used to be that maybe you might not get an offer, but you would get like pretty consistent showings. Showings are not even coming through. So not to say that, DFW's on fire, all the prices are going to crash. I do think that we're going to see an increased amount of softening in the prices, just because, like I said, right now, this is technically hot buying season. And if things are sitting on the market in hot buying season, as we get into the fall, where things naturally, like usually seasonally, start to cool off, I think we're going to see even more days on the market, things like that. So if you're in the position where you are wanting to buy, your time is here. Your time is here, and your time is coming. It gets even better, because if we do see those interest rate cuts from the Fed, then that's going to become that September through November timeframe. That's going to be a really great time to, I think, get a really good deal, especially for property that's been sitting. So that's why these numbers, just to pay attention to that. Now, months inventory, this technically is showing that this is a three and a half, let's call it 3.5 months of inventory. That basically means if no other properties hit the market, it would take about 3.4 months for all the properties to be bought up. Now, normally, typically in real estate, we say in order for it to be a balanced market, that number would need to be 6 months. So 6 months supply, that generally means that we are in a balanced market. But again, there are property that are simply just sitting on the market, no offers, very few showings, and we're only at 3%. So if that number starts to tick up even more, I'm going to go ahead and say that I think it's quite frankly, I think it's more of a buyer's market today, just because of what I'm seeing in the field. I know what these numbers say, but what I am seeing in terms of the offers that sellers are doing, closing cost. This is resale sellers. I'm only talking resale right now. This is only resale. But offering closing costs, still offering 2-1 buy downs, whatever it takes to be able to help the buyer afford, knowing that the interest rates are so high, help the buyer afford a higher mortgage, whatever that might mean. So again, 2-1 buy down, so contributing to closing costs, things like that, that is helping the buyers quite a bit. So just kind of keep note of that. The next one I'm going to go to is our Collin County, if I can get to it. Collin. Right here. Okay, just kidding. Collin. All right, so now let's talk about Collin County. Again, we're seeing the same kind of numbers in terms of the way where things are going, right? So Collin and Denton County are like right next to each other in the North Dallas area. So we're looking at median price at $515. That's down 4.6% from this time last year. Market share, again, this is just show how much of the Metroplex does Collin County cover. That's 33%. The listings is up. That means the inventory has gone up by 4,600. Basically, additional units, our additional properties are for sale than this time last year. Closed sales are down. So that means we have more inventory. Prices are starting to come down a little bit, but the number of closed sales, meaning people going under contract and going all the way to completion to close that escrow, is down. So that's another thing. There was an article out recently about a lot of people just backing out, because I think what's happened for some people is they start the process, they go ahead and maybe find a property they love, go ahead and make an offer on it. And then when they actually do the numbers on what the, not only just the purchase price, because it's not just the purchase price, it's the purchase price, it's the insurance for the property, and then it's ultimately what you lock in your rate for. And then here in Texas, you've got to factor in those property taxes, right? Because our taxes tend to be a little bit higher. So when they factor in all those numbers, and it goes from being, this is fun. What do I like about this house, and daydreaming about what it's going to be like living in that house, to actually looking at the numbers on paper. For some folks, it's like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense anymore. And so we're seeing that a lot too, where folks are starting to back out of transactions. So it's not just a done deal that something went under contract. I'm seeing that a lot in the MLS as well, that the property has gone under contract and then goes back out to market and is back on the market. So this number is not surprising to me. Days on the market for Colin, a little bit longer. So 75 days, not by much, but 75 days on the market. So typically 40 days to get an accepted offer, and then about another 35 days to close that escrow. And similar months inventory, right at about four months of inventory. So again, if you are in the process of trying to decide if this is the right time for you to buy a house, I will say what I always say, which is that is a very individual decision. And so you just want to make sure that whatever you're planning to do, that the numbers make sense, meaning what you're going to be paying for that home, what the interest rate is, what the mortgage is, what your property tax is, what the insurance is. All those things need to make sure that makes sense in order for you to, my suggestion would be to make sure that makes sense. Don't just fall in love with something and figure like, oh, I'm just going to make it work. This is how people get in trouble. And I will say, in closing, the other thing that we're seeing is right now, at least here in Texas, there is a moratorium on, at least in the Houston area, there is a moratorium on foreclosures, because we had, Hurricane Bale, that's a god. That's an evil god. No, hurricane, it started with a B. Somebody put in the chat, I forget which one it was. But anyway, because of that hurricane and all that devastation that happened down in Houston, there is a moratorium. So they give people, of course, you're going to give people time to get settled and things like that before they start that foreclosure process up again. So just know that I would say over the next several months, as we close out 2024, which has been quite the year, that there could be a lot of changes happening in the market. So I'll go back to what I was about to say, which is just make sure if you're planning on purchasing a home that it makes sense for you. There's a couple ways that you can do it. I don't want to be doom and gloom here, but I just want to make sure that people are aware of just kind of what's happening, and just from my view of somebody that's actively in the field, just share a little bit about what I'm seeing, because a lot of people have different advice, but they're not local to specific areas. So if you're thinking of Frisco, Prosper, Little Elm, McKinney, all these, the kind of North Dallas area, this would apply to you. So hopefully this information has been helpful to you. If it can be of any resource to you, I'd love to work with you, help you with locating a property here in the North Dallas area. I also work with assumable loans. And so that's a space that you're interested in and trying to figure out how to get that interest rate back down to those 2s and 3s. That's an area of expertise that I have as well. So happy to walk you through that. I have a video about how to do that also. So I'll link it in the comments below on this video. Anyway, I think I have talked enough. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.